Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're really trying to get under the skin of what makes work. What makes it
Right.
satisfying, what makes it frustrating. We've gathered some really interesting insights from uh, three different people. We've got someone in advertising, an aircraft engineer, and a secondary school teacher. Real voices, real experiences. And our mission really is to pull out those key themes, the sort of universal nuggets about how we relate to our jobs.
Yeah, and what's fascinating, I think, is how these stories, they seem so different on the surface, right? Different industries, different roles.
Yeah.
But when you dig in, you start seeing these common threads popping up. Things like, purpose, feeling connected, wanting to actually make a difference. So we'll be trying to connect their specific experiences to that bigger picture of, well, what makes a job good and what doesn't.
Great. Let's jump straight in then. Our first voice works in advertising, and you can just feel the energy in their words. They actually said their work is really rewarding and stimulating, and they pointed straight away to originality and creativity as being super important. It sounds like it's less a job, more a constant creative outlet, and the variety too that really stood out. They said no 2 days are the same. Like one day they might be contacting film companies for new advertising campaigns, setting up big projects, and the next, maybe giving client presentations. Completely different skill set, different focus. That constant change seems key for them.
Right. And it's not just, oh, I like new things, is it? You really get to something deeper, like how vital that creative freedom,
Mm.
that autonomy is for feeling really satisfied.
Mm.
Getting to actually make something original, that's a powerful motivator. And like you said, the variety, it just fights off that monotony, that feeling of being stuck in a rut, which we know is a major killer of engagement. Makes you wonder how many jobs could use a bit more of that flex.
That's a really good point. It probably applies way beyond just creative fields. And this person also mentioned the personal side. They said, "I like the client contact, and I am very much hands-on." They want to be in it, actually doing the work, not just managing it from afar. And the team thing was big too. I hit it off with my colleagues immediately. There's a very good rapport between us. So it's the work and the people.
Exactly. The doing and the connecting seem totally linked here. Being hands-on speaks to that need to see your direct impact, right? And the good team vibe. Well, that taps into our basic need to belong, to feel part of something.
Yeah.
It just reminds us that work isn't only about the tasks we do. It's about who we are there, how we fit in, and seeing our efforts mean something. When that all clicks, you get that real rewarding feeling.
Okay, so from that kind of dynamic advertising world, let's pivot. Our next voice is completely different, an aircraft engineer working in R&D. And here the satisfaction seems to come from something really solid, tangible. They just love putting ideas into practice. There's this real sense of achievement when we do something new. You can almost feel the pride in, making these complex ideas real. And there's an aesthetic element too, which I found interesting. They said, and of course, the planes we produce are very beautiful. That's got to be a pretty unique reward, right? Creating something so complex and beautiful. They also mentioned liking a mix of work styles. I like working on my own, but it's great being part of a team. I like the teamwork. So solo focus and group effort.
Yeah, you really see that satisfaction, don't you? Taking an idea, maybe something on paper or a screen, and then there it is,
Yeah.
a physical thing, a working aircraft. That beauty of the planes. And it's not just a throwaway comment, is it? It's like a symbol of the skill, the complexity, the achievement involved, a really deep intrinsic reward. But this also brings us to that classic tension, doesn't it? The flip side of the coin.
It sure does. Because while they love the creation part, they're very clear about the downsides. They said, I just don't like days when I'm chained to a desk. Emphasis on the don't. I don't like admin and paperwork sometimes. I feel I'm snowed under with it. I think a lot of us know that feeling, right? Being buried in admin. And they get specific about the organization. In a large organization like ours, there can be a lot of red tape and bureaucracy, rigid procedures that can slow things down. That sounds frustrating, like it actively gets in the way.
You nailed it. That red tape, the admin. It's not just a minor hassle for people like this. It often feels like a direct roadblock to doing the work they actually want to do, the work that gives them that sense of achievement. Think about it. If your buzz comes from making things happen, from innovation, then procedures that feel pointless or slow, well, they directly attack your core motivation. It really forces that question, where's the line between necessary process and, bureaucracy that just stifles the very thing it's supposed to support? It's that clash between the job and the system around the job. So common in big places.
So common. Okay, moving on to our third voice. A secondary school teacher. And this brings in yet another angle on satisfaction, often tied to, well, different kinds of rewards. They acknowledge up front it's a low-paid job, which is, often the perception. But then immediately they tell us what really drives them. I want to help people and make a contribution to society. That's what gives me motivation. That's a powerful sense of purpose, isn't it? Something beyond just the paycheck. And this purpose seems to fuel a lot of satisfaction. They say, my job gives me a lot of satisfaction. Even finding the challenges rewarding. The work can be stretching, taking me to the limits of my skills and knowledge. That word stretching, it's not negative. It's like a positive challenge, pushing them to grow.
Yeah.
And yeah, they acknowledge the difficulties. Of course, they can be very difficult and demanding, talking about the students, but the payoff is huge. It's great to see kids developing and learning. They even mention getting that boost from parents sometimes. Sometimes we even get recognition that we are doing a good job. That validation matters.
It really does. This teacher's experience is such a clear illustration of how purpose, that feeling of contributing to something bigger, can be an incredibly strong driver, often, like you said, stronger than money. And that stretching idea is key too. It points to our fundamental human need for growth, for mastery. We don't always want easy. We often want challenge, but meaningful challenge. But what of the downside they mentioned? That unnecessary interference. How does that tie in, do you think?
I think it ties in perfectly, and it connects back to the engineer too. It's about autonomy, isn't it? The teacher put it really bluntly. But I don't like unnecessary interference. I don't like people breathing down my neck. Ooh, that's not just about being left alone. It feels like it's about trust. Trust in their professional judgment, their expertise, especially when you're so driven by your own internal mission, like helping kids grow, having someone constantly looking over your shoulder, questioning you. That must be incredibly demotivating. It cuts right against that sense of purpose.
Exactly. That phrase, unnecessary interference, it often translates to feeling distrusted, right? Like your skills or your commitment aren't valued. And when your motivation comes from such a deep place, like wanting to make a societal contribution, having that undermined by sort of bureaucratic oversight or micromanagement, it can really poison the well. It just underscores how vital trust and professional respect are. You need that space, that agency to really do your best work and feel good about it.
Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together. We've heard from, three really distinct roles: advertising creative, aircraft engineer, secondary school teacher. Different worlds, different pressures, but despite all the differences, some really powerful shared themes are jumping out, aren't they? We saw that buzz from creativity and variety in advertising, that deep pride in building something real and the value of teamwork for the engineer, and for the teacher, that profound satisfaction from contributing, from helping others grow. And the common ground, it seems to be around being hands-on, whatever that means in their context, seeing the results of their work, feeling like what they do matters, whether it's a brilliant ad campaign, a beautiful plane, or a student finally getting it. That direct line between effort and meaningful outcomes seems crucial, and maybe just as important is not having stuff get in the way of that.
That's a great summary. It's fascinating because the what of the rewarding work looks at different campaigns, planes, mines,
Yeah.
but the underlying why, the human needs being met, they're strikingly similar. We're talking about the need for meaning, for impact, for challenge, for connection, for actually feeling effective, agency, like we said. And conversely, the frustrations are also pretty universal. Anything that blocks that feeling of effectiveness, that purpose, that flow,
Yeah.
that's where dissatisfaction creeps in. So whether you call it red tape or pointless admin or unnecessary interference, it's all doing the same thing. It's getting in the way of meaningful work. It's friction.
So, bringing it back to you, our listener, what does all this mean? I think what our deep dive shows today is that even though jobs are so varied, the core of what makes work fulfilling often boils down to some key human desires. The desire to create, to achieve, to contribute, to connect, and to do all that with, well, as little hassle as possible. It's about feeling like you're making a difference, effectively.
Right. Which leads to a really interesting question for you to think about, doesn't it? When you reflect on these stories, what parts of your own work truly light you up? What gives you that energy, that satisfaction? And maybe on the flip side, what are those red tape moments for you? The admin burdens, the processes that slow you down, the interference that feels like it gets in the way. What are the things you wish you could just cut through to get back to the work that really matters?